right now I just want to give you guys all the information because it is juicy, man. Maplestory Classic is no more. Whatever you thought Maplestory Classic was is no more. This is Maplestory Classic Plus, and it's confirmed that Nexon is intending to, change everything up. One of my viewers actually brought it to my attention about a post on the old school Maplestory Reddit that actually listed all the changes, and oh boy, there are a lot of changes. Almost every single skill in the game that we've seen up until this point, this including the first class and the second class, have been updated and have been changed. I'll leave my personal opinion out of it until the end of the video, so if you're interested to hear what I have to say, then stay tuned. And also, I just have to address quickly Inkwell literally trolling us at MapleCon. And obviously, I would have liked a release date as well. I don't think his intention was actually to to rage bait us. I think maybe it was, obviously English is not his first language, so. But the way he was introducing that did make it seem like they were about to drop Maplestory Classic. I woke up having a weird feeling because I feel like I am so desperate for Maplestory Classic servers, official Maplestory Classic servers, that I'll take whatever I can get. So getting all that news yesterday made me really excited. But after sleeping on it, waking up this morning, admittedly, this is not what I wanted, because some of these changes really, really, really alter how a person will play the class, which I think strays too far off of what I wanted out of Maplestory Classic. But then again, it's just we're kind of in this point where I'll just take whatever I can get. Whether or not that's what I want is another story, but this is all just speculation. We'll just have to see how it plays out. It's not like I haven't been disappointed before, so going into it with low expectations. All right, let's go. Okay, so we're gonna start off with Rogue. So Rogue's nimble body changed. Instead of max level at 20, you'll be able to max it out at level 15, and you'll get the same benefits, which opens up 5 extra skill points that you'll be able to spend on other skills, which is pretty cool. I like this. That's cool. Keen Eyes goes from level 8 being max level to level 15, but also lowers the maximum attack range by 50. This is a very, very considerable debuff. You get more skill points from the nimble body change, but now you're gonna have to take those skill points and apply them to Keen Eyes, which is an absolutely mandatory skill for assassins, for 50 less range on your throwing weapons. They sort of changed it up a little bit. The biggest thing is the weapon defense is minus 20%. That's what I'm saying, Brad. We need percentages, because now this can actually scale further into the game, because this skill was, it's just useless. Past level 10, 15, 20 is just useless because it didn't scale. Then move on to Dark Sight, higher MP cost, and now it's also toggable. Dark Sight seems like a skill that should be toggable. Double Stab, just straight up damage increase, which is awesome because it just paled in comparison to Lucky 7. Now, if you're actually gonna be, a lot of characters, even if they intended to become a bandit, would level up Lucky 7 just up until level 30, because it was that much better than Double Stab. But now it seems like Double Stab has been brought on the same level as Lucky 7. Now this segues nicely into the updated Lucky 7, which has been debuffed from doing 150% damage to 130% damage. So how this actually plays out in game, how much of an impact this actually has, I've yet to see. But just from the numbers, Lucky 7 has taken a considerable debuff, and Double Stab has gotten a considerable buff. Moving on to Bandit. Dagger Mastery. So, Dagger Mastery, the newly updated Dagger Mastery is going to give bandits critical damage. And now instead of Dagger Mastery, it gives you Dagger Level. I haven't played the modern Maplestory, so this may be some terminology that's used in current Maplestory, so I'm not entirely sure what it means, but I'm assuming that it's going to be something. Dagger Level is something similar to Dagger Mastery, and then you lose that accuracy plus 20, which we all know how important accuracy is. So that will definitely have an impact on bandits. Now onto the totally new skill, Nimble Recovery. This skill actually replaces Endurance, which I did not notice that yesterday. So Endurance gave you an additional recovery of HP and MP every 10 seconds. It's a pretty lame skill. And now instead, you recover 10% HP and 10% MP with a 100% chance when evading. Now this can only be procced once every 30 seconds. So how much of an impact that will have? 10%. I like the percentages. That's good. The higher level you get, and the more health points and mana points you have, the more the skill will heal. So as you level, the skill will have more of an impact. I'm always for activatable skills versus passive skills. So dagger booster, there's some little bit of different terminology. Increases dagger attack speed by 2 stages. One thing I can agree with Nexon on changing is them clarifying more in their descriptions. And it seems like that's what they're aiming to do. So an extra 100, and on top of that, an extra 100 seconds to the buff. Haste got a debuff. Instead of 40 speed, it's going to be 30 speed. And instead of 20 jump, it's going to be 10 jump. But the duration got increased, which is lame. I mean, I don't think they needed to touch haste, honestly, at all. Yeah, I just think it's unnecessary. Steel. This skill got changed quite considerably. Mana cost is the same. Steal chance got increased to 90% at max level. Damage got increased, and on success, it increases your weapon attack for 30 seconds. And also, the stun is the same, but instead of 4 seconds, for 1.5 seconds. Now, Savage Blow just got a flat increase to damage from 80% to 100, which I think everybody will rejoice. That's a good change. I'm thinking it. Yeah, you know, I like the changes to Bandit. Honestly, I like the changes they made to Bandit, because the Bandit is still gonna play the same, but now they're just gonna be doing more damage. And plus, now they have critical hit, which, yeah, I mean, all these changes just make Bandit a lot more fun to play. Onto Assassins. Claw Mastery now. Again, this change in terminology from Mastery to Mastery level. You have an increase of accuracy, which is nice. And also a 25% chance to retrieve used throwing stars. The 25% chance to retrieve used throwing stars will have more of an impact. I like those changes overall. Critical Throw. From a 50% success rate to a 15% success rate. And from a 100% critical damage. It says 200, but then there's this little note here. Different system, different terminology. So going from 100% increased damage to 35%, which is a huge hit to the damage that Assassins will be doing. This is one of those things we just gotta wait to see how it plays out. Once people actually get their hands on the game, the closed beta that's gonna be happening in January, I'm sure we'll get more information. But just from the numbers on screen, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Now moving on to the totally new skill, Agile Recovery, which replaces Endurance, similar to Bandit. They share the same skill. You'll recover 10% HP and 10% MP with a 100% chance when jumping. Now this can only be activated once every 60 seconds. I like it more than Endurance, that's for sure. How impactful it'll be, we'll have to see. Claw Booster, but now the new one will increase attack speed by 2 stages for 300 seconds. So an increase of 100 seconds. Haste got nerfed again for Assassins. And Drain. It's an interesting skill. So Drain absorbs 25% less, but also now does nearly double the amount of damage at 300. So now moving on to Archers. Critical Shot. Max level decreased from 20 to 15. Or the success rate is going to go from 40% to 15%. And the critical damage from 100 to 15%. I can't believe that they'd actually decrease critical damage from 200% to 15%. So it must be from 100% to 15%. Because if that's not the case, then I mean, they destroyed this skill. That's crazy. That is still an 85% decrease in damage. And on top of that, you have minus 25% chance to crit. So that is, I mean, that's huge. That has huge implications on how much damage archers are going to be putting out. Some of these changes are very questionable by Nexon, but we don't know how they intend on changing ability points. You know, there might be some differences in how damage is factored into the equation. So this is another thing we'll just have to wait and see. Amazon Judgment. This is replacing Blessing of the Amazon. Blessing of the Amazon just gave you plus 16 accuracy, but now Critical hits have a 100% chance to reduce enemy speed by 35 for 3 seconds. Again, archers never really struggled with accuracy since their main ability point was Dex. So Blessing of the Amazon was pretty useless. Eyes of the Amazon, maximum level from level 8, it increased to 15. And now, opposite of assassins who lost attack range, archers are actually going to have their attack range increased. Focus increases accuracy and avoidability for 300 seconds. So that's just a straight buff. Arrow blow for archers that increase damage by 260% are now going to have their damage is now going to increase damage by 310%. So even though we're losing some damage from the critical shot, it's being counterbalanced a little bit by the increase of damage from arrow blow. Double shot also has increased damage from 130 to 155%. So even though we're losing some damage from the critical shot, it's being counterbalanced somewhat by the increase of damage to double shot and arrow blow. So I really have to see how that pans out. Moving on to Hunter, we have Bow Mastery. So similar to all the other mastery skills, we have this new terminology, Bow Mastery level 10 instead of 60 plus 60% Bow Mastery. So in addition to the accuracy, it's also now going to give plus 50 avoidability. And it'll give you a 100% chance to use skills or range attacks on nearby enemies. See, this is a change that just makes sense. That you're better with using your bow, so you'll be able to attack from a closer distance. In Final Attack Bow, dropping from a 60% success rate to a 25% success rate. So the success rate has been reduced, but the damage has been increased by 100%. And it's now an activatable ability and has charged that drop off after a short duration if not used. So the way you use this skill is now going to be entirely different. Bow Booster is going to increase attack speed by 2 stages. Power Knockback. Knockback damage increased to 200% from 40. Knockback distance has increased to 100% from 40. And the maximum amount of enemies able to be knocked back is decreased to 4. Soul Arrow had a decrease to its duration at max level. Arrow Bomb, Hunter's most iconic skill. Stun chance has stayed the same. Damage has stayed the same. But the amount of enemies it's able to hit is decreased by 2. Which is something that I really just don't quite agree with. I don't think we should be making a character. I don't think we should get into the habit of changing characters to be less fun. So this is one of those changes that I don't see the reason for. One difficulty with balancing classes is if you balance them so much, then they really lose that class identity. Now, you know, Arrow Bomb being able to hit 4 enemies instead of 6, does that destroy the class identity? Does that destroy the identity of the class? Not particularly. Admittedly, there is some fun in classes being unbalanced in a good way, to an extent, obviously. But having some really, really strong abilities for classes are fun, and I don't think that a change like this is necessary whatsoever. Crossbow Mastery gives you now 20% chance to ignore enemies' weapon defense, which is huge. That's actually awesome, and I think that's going to give crossbowmen a huge increase in their damage. Final Attack, 25% success rate. Final Attack with crossbow damage is increased to 350% and is now an active ability similar to what we saw with the Hunter. Crossbow Booster increases crossbow attack speed by 2 stages, increase the duration. Power Knockback, similar to the Hunters, damage stays the same, but knockback has been increased to 100%. And instead of 6 enemies, it's going to be 4 enemies now. Soul Arrow, same thing to Hunters. And Iron Arrow, as of the moment, no changes. Magicians, improved MP recovery. Maximum level decreased from 16 to 15. Now, there's some big changes right here. MP regenerates 1% of max MP every 10 seconds. And MP recovery from items and skill is increased by 20%. So the old skill really didn't have any clarification, but I think with this change, magicians are going to have a considerably higher mana regeneration rate. Max MP increase. The maximum level has been increased from 10 to 15. I think there's a little bit of a typo here, but it means max MP plus 20%. But ultimately, I think magicians will end up with more MP, especially in the higher levels. Magic Guard is now toggleable, which admittedly it always should have been. Magic Armor was a useless skill because it never scaled. So giving yourself plus 40 weapon defense was good in the early game, I guess. but I mean really just a useless skill. Changes like this are welcome because it makes completely useless skills more prevalent by increasing weapon defense by 25% and magic defense by plus 25%. So huge change. Magic armor is gonna be goated now. That, I mean, that's you're always gonna want to keep that up. 100%. It's gonna be good for partying. Gonna be good for everything. That's a nice change. Now, Energy Bolt, as we all know, was completely useless compared to Magic Claw. You'd never use Energy Bolt over Magic Claw, but now Energy Bolt has increased the basic attack damage from 55 to 65. I don't know if Nexon's attempting to make Energy Bolt be able competitive with Magic Claw. From what I see, just from the changes, is that Magic Claw is going to be the dominant skill. So I don't see how anything's changed there. Cleric. Moving on to Cleric. Now in my last video, I said that Cleric's got a buff, but again, I did not have all the information, and things are a little bit different. So let's get into it. So MP Eater now has a 50% success rate from 30%, and it's going to absorb 50% of an enemy's max MP up from 40%. Now this is just a buff, all around buff. I like it. Teleport, no change to teleport. Heal. Now this is going to change things quite a bit. Heal does 1/3 of the damage that it used to at max level. And it has a higher MP cost, which the new update to MP Eater kind of counterbalances because you'll be recovering more mana more often. But that's besides the point. The biggest difference is the decrease in healing rate. Now, this applies both ways to damage done and healing done. So heal just gets a straight up flat decrease in damage and healing, which I don't see why we did that. That's kind of a bummer. If you guys didn't know, I actually intended to play Cleric. We'll see how it plays out, man. Now I feel like heal, with the change to Holy Arrow that I'll be getting to soon, I feel like Nexon really intends heal to be a supportive ability, while Holy Arrow will be used as your main source of damage. Weapon Invincible used to decrease weapon damage by 30% for 300 seconds, and on top of that, it also deals non-elemental magic damage to any monster that makes contact with the caster. Meaning, now Bless still gives you the 20% accuracy. It's still going to give you the avoidability. And instead of giving you weapon and magic defense, it's going to increase the HP recovery from items and skills by 10%. And then what everybody's been talking about is the change to Holy Arrow. So basic attack 80 to basic attack 45. But it attacks 3 enemies. So clerics are definitely going to be playing different now, and having to prioritize and either having to prioritize heal or Holy Arrow. We have yet to see, but the skill builds are definitely going to change. So Wizard, Ice Lightning, same thing with the MP Eater. So Meditation is going to increase the party's magic attack by plus 25 for 300 seconds. So Slow is now Slow now costs less mana points in exchange for decreasing the enemy's speed by 30 instead of 40. And it only applies for 25 seconds now. Cold Beam has the basic attack increased to 125, and it'll freeze the monster for 3 seconds instead of 2. Thunderbolt, one of Maplestory's most iconic skills for sure, without a doubt, has a basic attack decreased by 10, but it has the added benefit of electrifying the mob that you're attacking with a 20% chance. MP Fire Poison Wizards, MP Eater we already covered. Meditation also the same changes. Slow also the same changes. Now Fire Arrow, similar to Holy Arrow, had the same change. It attacks 3 enemies. It shoots 3 arrows now instead of just 1. Now Poison Breath, instead of 60% success rate, as a 75% success rate, and also now it explodes, but now it costs 20 more mana points, which is a considerable increase to the cost of mana. And now one of the biggest changes is that poison can kill instead of leaving a monster at 1 HP. And now finally moving on to warriors, improved HP recovery. The biggest change is that HP recovery from items and skills is increased by 20%. So max HP increase, similar to max MP increase, is going to increase the maximum HP by 20%. This is obviously just a mandatory skill that every warrior is gonna have to level. And also max level increase from 10 to 15. A new skill, precision strikes. It replaces endurance. It gives the warrior plus 50 accuracy, which is very welcome all the time because swordsman warriors need accuracy. And increases critical rate by 5%, which is cool. So warriors are going to be able to crit now. Iron Body is going to change the flat increase of weapon defense to a scalable 30%, and it doubles the duration. So again, amazing change all around. I really like this because it makes the skill actually relevant. Now Power Strike, so the damage it increases has been changed from 260% to 300, which is going to make the early level grind a little bit easier. And now Slash Blast has also had an increase to its damage from 130 to 150%, which again I think is a welcome change for warriors, since like I said, they do struggle quite a bit early game. Now Spearman. Spear Mastery, no more accuracy, which is crazy because warriors need accuracy. So I don't know what they were thinking, but now you have 50% avoidability, which will make warriors have more survivability. Polearm Mastery, again, no accuracy. What? But instead of avoidability, you get speed, which is impactful. But again, that accuracy make it a little bit more difficult to hit monsters. Again, we don't know what Nexon intends to do with the whole Dexless warrior thing, or the Dexless sins, or the luckless mages. We don't know what they intend on doing, but from changes like this, it makes me feel like Nexon intends to adjust and to maybe make the Dexless, luckless playstyle a little bit less prevalent, and maybe make the other playstyle of leveling up your secondary attribute more relevant. Now this is a huge topic that I don't want to comment on because it is contentious to say the least. But if they do intend, which seeing the changes they are making right now, I feel like they are going to change a lot of things. And now that, whether you welcome the change or not, that is going to impact the game heavily. But anyways, moving on. Final Attack, again similar. It is an activatable ability. Your success rate is lowered, but your damage increased considerably. Spear/pole arm booster, increased attack speed, duration increased. Now Iron Will, it has an additional benefit of being able to ignore knockback at a 35% chance. So this ability will really only be used for that secondary benefit, because the plus 50 weapon defense will eventually become negligible. Hyper Body, now a big change here. Costs less mana, has its maximum level decreased from 30 to 20. The amount of HP that it increases is going to be cut in half to 30%, and now the maximum MP that it increases is totally gone. So there's a big change. Moving on to Page, Sword Mastery, an increase to accuracy by 5, which is nice. Blunt Weapon Mastery, the increase to accuracy is gone, but now every single attack has a chance to stun the monster for 25%. Again, just like every other class, Final Attack has been changed. It's now an activatable ability, and the damage has been increased. Weapon Booster, attack speed increased by 2 stages. Threaten now. Maximum level increased from 20 to 30, and it has an additional benefit of slowing the enemy's speed by 35%. And the decreased weapon attack and weapon defense on the enemy is the same, but the duration has been lowered from 80 to 30 seconds, which is a considerable amount of time. Power Guard has its duration increased by 90 seconds, so double, and the maximum level from 30 has been decreased to 20, and the return damage stays the same. Fighter, Sword Mastery has been tweaked a little bit, increasing accuracy by 25 instead of 20. Axe Mastery now has a chance to inflict bleed, dealing 30% total damage over 3 seconds. So now this is going to have an impact on mobbing and how a fighter actually mobs if they decide to level up Axe Mastery. Final Attack the same, booster the same, rage. Weapon attack, so maximum level increased from 20 to 30. Weapon attack, the amount of weapon attack it increases is nearly double. No, it's more than double. More than double. From 12 to 35. Now that is crazy. That is wild. Plus, it also decreases the weapon defense by 35 from 12. And the duration is also doubled. So everything's just doubled. Not the mana cost, though. Which is crazy. Like, this is one of those changes that I don't know what Nexon is intending to do. This just seems like such a ridiculously strong buff to a skill, while other skills are kind of getting shafted. So I'm not gonna pretend like I know. Obviously they're doing something, so I'm just gonna let them cook. But more damage, I don't, like, you know what I'm saying? I think it's fine. Now the last one is the change to power guard. Duration has been increased. Again, the maximum level has been decreased from 30 to 20, and it's still going to return the same amount of damage. So just that change in duration. And boys, that's it. I mean, this video has gone on long enough. I just want to let you guys know. I'll drop a link in the description for all these changes if you want to read yourself. I just wanted to let you guys know about these huge changes that I didn't cover in my last video because I did not know. Personal opinion, I don't like it. I don't. Maybe my biggest issue, the changes are okay. The new content, on the other hand, if introduced properly, I think it might be able to work. But just from what we've seen yesterday, the new content did not mesh with the old school vibe of the game. It just stood out. It really felt like it stood out. So they're gonna, if they intend on rolling out new content like that, I think they need some work aligning it with the old school Maplestory vibe and feeling. Now the changes and the updates to skills and the addition of new some of them I like and some of them I don't. We're gonna have to see how it really plans out in game, what the meta is actually gonna develop into. I'm hopeful that Nexon knows what they're doing, but again, they don't have the best track record, so I am going to play it either way. Obviously, I'm going to try it out either way. But have them already, before the game has even been released, them already introducing so many changes is not leaving a good feeling in my mouth, admittedly, guys. Yeah, so anyways, okay, peace out, guys. Much love. Hit that subscribe button. All right, peace out.